Bitcoin took a big dump yesterday, and now we are starting to hear the term crypto winter. Should we be worried? Well, let's take a close look at Bitcoin. Alright, we're looking at the daily chart, and the data I have is to about 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on January the 6th. The old turkey had another minor stroke yesterday, and it is looking scary because now we are seeing this dreaded head and shoulder pattern is being formed. That is why so many people are worrying about a crypto winter, because if you look at this head and shoulder pattern here, a breakdown from this neckline, then we're looking at the potential for Bitcoin to retrace even below the prior low that's set around the middle of July, which is right at around 29,000. So Bitcoin is definitely not looking good. Should I be worried? No. I don't think that Bitcoin is going to drop below this support line. As you guys remember, back around the May timeframe of last year, I predicted a major crash in Bitcoin about a week before the actual crash. And at that time, I also indicated that I sold 75% of my holding. But I haven't sold one single token yet. Why? Because I don't believe that we are going to see this sort of crypto winter. I don't believe that Bitcoin is going to drop below this support. We could see Bitcoin dip to about 39, but then it will bounce. I still expect to see Bitcoin do well during the first quarter of 2022. Here is my rationale. The possible head and shoulder pattern that we are seeing right now, technically, it is looking the same as the head and shoulder pattern that prompted me to predict that Bitcoin would crash back around the May timeframe of last year. However, if we take into consideration other indicators, especially value, the head and shoulder pattern that occurred last year, which caused this major crash, is different than what we're seeing right now. All right, so let's dive in and compare the difference between the head and shoulder pattern that formed last year before the major crash versus the head and shoulder pattern that we are seeing right now. If we look at last May, that's when Bitcoin started this massive bull run. Back around October of 2020, price spiked up, and during this run up, we have this massive increase in buying volume. So the bull was very strong during this time frame. Then it ran all the way to about 60,000, established an all-time high, followed with a pullback. Now, during this pullback, we started to see increase in selling value. So that was the first sign that the bull run is slowly running out of steam. Then we saw this bounce up, and Bitcoin established another all-time high at around 62,000. But look at the volume when it ran up, or setting up this left shoulder, volume dropped off drastically compared to prior. So that was not a good sign. This thing is telling us that we are losing the momentum. And then after that, a pullback, and then drop all the way down to about 50,000, or establishing the neckline. The sell volume is even higher than the buy volume during this run-up. This clearly telling us that the bull is running out of steam. We saw this bounce up and then establish an all-time high at 65,000. Look at the volume, very low volume. So this I would consider is like a bull fake. Sellers manipulated the price, ran this up to an all-time high on very low volume to give us, the retail investor, the perceptions that the bull was still very strong. But in fact, these guys just wait until the retail investor get in, and they started to dump, because after that we saw the significant pullback on high volume. Then after setting up this neckline, we saw the price bounce up, but then again, they ran up on low volume. And then after that, pullback, and then the price broke down completely off the neckline of this head and shoulder. and very much ran to this sort of like technical target price of 34,000, trying to stabilize at 34,000, but then the downward momentum continued to push it down. Finally found support at the 30,000 level. So what I saw last May is the volume basically gave us an indication that this thing was about to collapse. I don't see the same scenario is being played out with this head and shoulder pattern that we're seeing right now. When the price ran up and established the left shoulder, volume has been low, very steady after this major collapse in price around the May timeframe of last year. Bitcoin's volume had been slow. So it was running up on low volume. And then when we saw this pullback, which it set up this neckline, the volume is low, very similar to the run-up. So almost like there's no difference, very constant volume. And then we have this bounce up, established an all-time high. Volume is very much steady. There is almost no difference in terms of the volume when it ran up versus a pullback. So to me, there isn't really any sort of like bull fake or bull trap or whatever it is. I mean, it's just like very steady, low volume. And then we have this major pullback. Volume is not really that much difference in this. And then the bounce up, same thing. Now we're seeing this pullback. There's not much increase in volume. Even yesterday when we had this major flash crash, look at the volume. It's not really that much difference than before. So I could be wrong, but the way that I'm seeing this here, I just don't see that there is a quote-unquote collaborative effort in order to drive the price down that could cause Bitcoin to drop, let's say technically from this all the way down to something, let's say like the 22,000. I just don't see that's going to happen. I believe that this prior high in which Bitcoin is finding support right at the range of about 42.5 to about 39 will provide very strong support. I don't expect to see the price break down below this. There is no doubt Bitcoin will be very volatile within the next few days, because after this major drop, you always have nervous people that want to get out. So there is that chance that the price could even dip and test this prior low at 39,000. But I fully expect the price to bounce up and then eventually run up. The first major resistance would be right at this level, which is around 45.5. Bitcoin was trying to hold support at that, but broke down. So now this level will become major resistance. We could potentially see Bitcoin run up and then get pushed down. It may take a couple of tries before it can cross over that, but I fully expect that will happen. And Bitcoin would likely run up and retest its prior high again at 52,000. So I could be wrong, guys, but I am definitely do not see a major collapse in the price of Bitcoin during this first quarter. And in fact, I still believe that the first quarter is going to be a good quarter for Bitcoin. That's it for this video. And don't forget to click that like button and reward me with a like if you appreciate the content that I'm presenting. Also, if you are new to my channel, don't forget to click that subscribe button and subscribe, and make sure you turn notification on. And if you have Twitter, make sure you follow me at Vietmaxim, because I provide constant update on all of our favorite cryptos.